Alright, setting the record straight why Rawsome Foods does not need a license, a civil rights issue. They don't need a license. However, there's many tricks being used, contracting tricks, contracting fraud that basically most Americans are all ignorant of or engaged in or victims of without their knowledge. Everything is about awareness and limiting their awareness to how this whole thing works. And this awareness is growing due to the conflict that's being raised. One of the problems I see here is these people do have the right to engage in their own private contracts, obviously, but if they identify themselves as the person, which is the legal fiction, which is limited in nature and is basically a product, it belongs contractually to the state, to the federal government, you're very limited. You must know how to invoke your sovereignty in order to truly be free of these contracting frauds. One thing I would like to address is on here, they get a lot of it right, but where they talk about money. Here it is. Says, but one of the things they're talking about here, basically what government is trying to do is claim a monopoly on all transactions. Through the consent of the government, we are free to be, to engage in our own private association. The government is engaged in a monopoly, a fraudulent monopoly. This is a mafia type takeover, and people need to wake up to that. You have the right to freely associate without government being in your business. They don't want you to, but part of the problem is we're using Federal Reserve notes and we're using the person, which limits our abilities. We need to step outside of that and withdraw consent and invoke our sovereignty. And sovereignty does not mean you're above the law. It means you're above the rules. You are your own ruler. Everybody is bound to law. Figure out what law is. Research it. Law is very simple. It pertains to owning yourself and a right to claim property. We are part of this world, therefore we have a right to part of this world. When we identify ourselves as a person, we do not have those rights because the person is a legal fiction, a limited entity. Anyways, it says here, where it says a milky liquid, milk is clearly not money. Now when you think of money, money is value. So technically a milky liquid, milk, is money. It has value. It is currency. It can be used as currency. And that gets into the question of what the Federal Reserve note is. And when you really understand, you understand that the Federal Reserve note is not value, it is debt. And technically we have given value, which is our labor, our time, our energy, our currency, our access to land, our right to land, and put it into the form of the Federal Reserve note. They've given us a piece of paper that is debt, and in exchange we gave them value. A lot of people don't realize it, but the truth is they've never even had money, because money is value. They've had debt, which is why they're so poor. But you have to understand, so when these men who claim that we owe debt, these are men who've given us debt. They've never given us value. We've given them the value in the form of our labor, in the form of what our God-given rights and our right to access to our property is. This is all being done through contract fraud. And this whole thing is very interesting because it is hitting one of the roots of this entire fraud, this entire fraudulent corporate takeover that is being done through contract fraud and people's limited awareness because they've been abused and run through this system of manipulation that limits their awareness. And I mean, come on people, you need to ask yourself why the basic building blocks of your life, the government, the law, the currency, all these things, why are you so confused about them and how they really work? These are simple things. These are not complex, but you've been made to be ignorant of them because if you were aware, their scams wouldn't work. Alright, try that one.